Well, an estimated 1,500 people die prematurely every year across the West Midlands conurbation from breathing polluted air. No wonder Birmingham City Council is planning to clean up its act big time, charging drivers of most diesel and older petrol cars up to £10 and buses, coaches and lorries up to £100 every day they enter a central clean air zone. Catherine Stancheshin tells us it could come into force in just 2 years' time.
Birmingham alone has 208,000 private cars, 33,000 lorries and vans, nearly 2,000 buses and taxis, and the numbers increase every day.
There was a time in Birmingham when the car was king. That's about to change. Air pollution in the city is dangerously high, contributing to 900 premature deaths a year. The biggest culprits? Vehicles thundering straight through the middle of the city centre on a road designed for them to do exactly that. Sunday Politics reported back in January that the City Council was planning a clean air zone that charged all of the highest polluters. And this week it was confirmed. Private cars, as well as lorries, taxis and buses, will have to pay if they're choking up the atmosphere. A report going before senior councillors on Tuesday says the charging zone will take in the entire city centre, any roads within the Middleway, including the A38. It will apply to any diesel vehicle that doesn't comply to a Euro 6 emissions standard, generally older than 2015, and any petrol vehicle that doesn't comply to Euro 4, mostly those pre-2006. Private cars that don't meet this are looking at a charge of between £6 and £10, lorries and buses up to £100. And anyone who travels through the zone in a non-compliant vehicle could face a fine of £120. This week, the man in charge of rolling out this controversial policy headed to a clean air event in the capital, where it's already being done.
In parts of London, where we have the cleanest buses, the air is improved exponentially, and it demonstrates cause and effect. Politicians taking brave decisions can lead to an improvement in the quality of air, and I commend not just Birmingham, but other parts of the country who try new things to fix the air in our cities and regions.
Also there, the Conservative Mayor of the West Midlands, who praised Labour-run Birmingham City Council for its bold move.
My view is it's absolutely right that that's been put out there as an option for now. And it is, but the more important thing than just charging is we've got to get people to change their habits, and their habits of thinking they can drive into the city with sort of zero consequences in old vehicles. It is right that that is challenged.
But the Conservative leader of the opposition in Birmingham obviously didn't get the memo about all this consensus. He says he has serious concerns.
What Leeds, a Labour-run council up north, have shown is that with very similar levels of concentrations, they haven't had to introduce a charging clean air zone for private vehicles. And actually one of the failures of the council here is that they haven't even modelled other options to see what could have been done and protect Birmingham residents from this travel tax.
It's clear that Birmingham City Council can't simply do this and nothing else, and it says it knows a clean air zone must go hand in hand with better public transport and help for those affected. But some warn that the consequences of this traffic revolution could be difficult to stomach.
And the consultation report is crystal clear. This charge will penalise some of those who can afford it least and have an impact on small businesses. There are also worries it will push congestion and pollution to other parts of the city. But many are supportive.
If it actually did what it was proposed to do and it isn't a sort of hidden tax, then yes, I'll support it.
In terms of changing the quality of our lives, you know, a lot of pollution is linked to dementia, to mental health problems, so cleaning our airs is a good investment for our future and for our children.
The council claims charging is quite simply the only way to improve air pollution quickly. It wants the government to commit to extra funding to help the motorist. We'll get final details in September following a 6-week public consultation. But it seems the cost of cleaning up our air could be more than some had bargained for.
Catherine Stancheshin reporting from Birmingham, one of 5 UK cities told by the government they must clean up their act by 2020 or face multi-million-pound fines. Well, as we've seen, the man at the sharp end of all this is Wasim Zafar, the council's cabinet member for transport. He says these proposals need to win the acceptance of the community. So I asked him how exactly he intended to sell them.
The important thing, Patrick, is that we don't do this to the city, but with the city. And we have to win the hearts and minds of our communities. But it's absolutely essential that people understand there's a public health crisis in our city, and that's air pollution. It's killing or accelerating the death of 900 people in our city. And I don't want my son, nor as a corporate parent of this city, our children growing up in a city where they're breathing the sort of air pollution they are. And it's about thinking about our future generations and providing an environment where they can grow up healthy. We're a city blighted by health inequalities. That's not the sort of area or the sort of city I want my children and our children growing up in.
It would mean, though, that if it all comes in, that thousands upon thousands of people are going to have to get rid of their cars. What are you going to say to them? Would you help them? Would you cushion the blow, the cost?
We're asking the government to come forward with proposals and the resources to ensure that our communities are not hit as hard as they potentially could be. And I totally get that. We need to work with our businesses, we need to work with our taxi sector, we need to work with our wider communities to mitigate the impact of the introduction of a potential clean air zone as best possible.
It is the charging of private cars that's the real crunch issue in this, and we reported on Sunday Politics as early as January that this issue had come before the cabinet in which you serve. What would you say to the Tory group leader Robert Aldrin, who says, there was a perfect opportunity to put this to the electorate in the all-out election last month, but it all went suspiciously quiet at that time? Isn't it just because it's a vote loser in your mind?
I would have loved to have come forward with these ideas a lot earlier, and I'm sure my colleagues who would have been serving in the cabinet before May would have done that, but the modelling and the information wasn't complete. We are at a stage now where we've got the information that we've put out to the public in a very open and transparent way, which will hopefully lead to a consultation period. And this is, I want to remind people, this is a consultation period, so nothing's been decided. The type of clean air zone hasn't been decided, the area that it will cover hasn't been decided, and we're looking forward to people coming to us with their ideas, with some radical ideas on how we can tackle air pollution in the city.
Some local businesses, small to medium-sized enterprises, especially those within the central area itself, they need their delivery vehicles. There are coach and bus operators. They're all going to be very badly affected by this, aren't they?
So we want to work alongside the Chamber of Commerce, and we've already begun discussions with them to see how together we can take the arse to government, being supported by our regional mayor Andy Street, to ensure that the government does come forward, provide that national leadership, and ultimately provide the resources for us to mitigate the impact on those businesses.
Do you sleep easy in bed, or do you see a political nightmare ahead of you?
I sleep easily because this isn't about politics. This is about people's lives. And I'm blessed to be in a position where I can impact positively on a city that I was born in and I've lived in all my life. I'm a very, very proud Brummie, and I want to be prouder after making some decisions that will make this a healthier city. It's a great city, and we want to make it a greater city for everyone who works here, who lives here, and who will ultimately grow up here.
Wasim Zafar. And remember, it's not just Brummies who'd be caught by this, but millions of visitors who come and go by road each year or drive through on the A38. Given the fundamental nature of this route, 6 weeks for a consultation doesn't seem very long. It looks as though the Labour Council's trying to bounce this one through.
But they've been set a target by national government. They've been instructed to do this, to come up with solutions to air pollution in the city and what it means for the residents of Birmingham. They've got to get it implemented by 2020. It's really unfortunate, but we've also obviously had this year PERDA to restrict when consultations could start and how people could actually engage. This is not going to be the best solution, the ideal solution. Nothing ever is, but this is about coming up with what can work and is feasible for the economy, but also for people.
Interesting division of opinion, a split there in your party ranks, really, because you've got the Tory Mayor, Andy Street, full square behind this proposal, and Robbie Aldrin, the Tory group leader, the opposition leader on Birmingham City Council, who's really not happy at all. Are you in the Aldrin camp or the Street camp, Eddie?
Well, I guess I'm in the camp that's a bit disappointed the Labour administration left it till panic measures to deal with this. But obviously, the Mayor has moved very quickly to get a grip of this. He's improving public transport. I'm going to be getting a train station in Willenhall, and he's encouraging people to cycle. And I think there are other things we can do to make sure we improve air quality. We can all agree we want cleaner air.
Wasim Zafar, time and time again, he was talking there about the government showing some leadership and resources and so on. I mean, and yet Philip Hammond has said only this week there's no money left, echoing what Liam Byrne said in a different context all those years ago. But that scrappage and ways of cushioning this has got got to be a lot of pressure on the government to come up with some answers there.
Well, I wish the Labour administration had started earlier dealing with this problem. They've been in charge for a very long time and we've had unclean air in the city, so hopefully the Mayor will help them get a grip of this situation now.
What about the risk to local businesses? The Chamber of Commerce for Birmingham and Surrey are very concerned, particularly about businesses operating within that central area that have delivery vehicles, buses and coach operators as well, and they fear that some businesses may collapse if there's no softening of the edge.
Well, I think this is why it's all about consultation, about what will work, how it will work, what times this can come in, so that encouraging deliveries in off-peak. A lot of as we saw in London, a lot of the changes can be mitigated and we can make this work. It's just making sure it works for local businesses, but also for local people. We're talking about 900 lives a year in Birmingham.
Would you like to see it in Stoke as well?
We were talking about that earlier. The geography of Stoke would make this extraordinarily challenging. What Birmingham's got that Stoke hasn't is a brilliant public transport infrastructure, and we simply haven't got that. We need to much better buses if we're going to look at that in Stoke.
What about something of the same sort in Walsall? Because there is a fear expressed that a lot of this will sort of relocate the dirtier vehicles and buses and things away from the centre of Birmingham towards places like
I've been lobbying the government to come up with innovative ideas of dealing with congestion on the M6, the idea of putting canopies over the motorway so that we can clean and purify the air. If we tackle problems that way, maybe we'll have cleaner air across the West Midlands.
Thank you for the moment. Well, whenever there's a political storm building up these days, it seems to land the Right Honourable Member for Bromsgrove right in it. The latest one has forced Sajid Javid to launch a review of how cannabis-based